Hello and welcome to today's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where we're going to be taking a look at an anti-knight Sudoku that's just appeared on the Logic Masters Germany website and is gaining a lot of plaudits already. So the puzzle on your screen now is by Jonas Gleim, and we've featured a couple of puzzles by Jonas in the past. They are brilliant, brilliant puzzles. He is a superb setter. Not the easiest, so you know he does present a challenge, but I mean, we can just take a look at this and admire the starting setup of this Sudoku. This is an absolutely stunning creation visually to me. Let's have a quick reminder of the rules of Knight's Move Sudoku, or anti-Knight's Move Sudoku, as some people like to call it, which we'll look at the 9 here. Now, 9, obviously, if we look at the top left box, there can't be a 9 in any of those 3 squares because of normal Sudoku rules. But the anti-Knight's Move constraint also means that this square and this square can't be a 9. And that's because this 9 here, if it was a knight in chess, it could jump to this square and this square, and this square and this square, and none of these squares can be 9s because of this Knight's Move constraint. So that's the key thing to remember. That's the key difference or additional constraint. You can see the additional constraint has allowed Jonas to have, what's that, 14 digits in the grid. Those of you into your Sudoku theory will know that a classic Sudoku, the minimum number of digits is 17. So Jonas managed to use this additional constraint to reduce that 17 number to 14. And I mean, just take a quick look at this before we start. Look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So a sequence coming down from the top to the right hand side. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Another sequence coming up this way. And then symmetrically disposed, just this 3 and 8 on the edge, and apparently this has a unique solution. It is just gorgeous, and I'm looking forward to trying it. Now, if you want to have a go, one of the good things about Cracking the Cryptic, and there are many, is that you can just click on the link under the video. That will take you to our webpage where you should see something very similar to the screen in front of you now. And with that, I'm going to have a look at the puzzle. Do I have any tips for Knight's Move Sudoku? Yes, I do. The digits I like to look for are those in the center of squares, like these digits. I'm not that keen on looking at digits. The 1 might also be useful. If, for example, if the 1 was here, I would definitely look at that. I think what you tend to find is that digits in the corners of 3x3 blocks are less relevant. And the reason is that, well, you can see an example with the 5s down here. This 5 eliminates those 3 5s naturally, but it actually eliminates those 2 squares as well because of the Knight's Move constraint. And similarly, this 5 actually eliminates 3 more cells. So we can place a 5 in the grid down there. Let's have a look. So that means there must be a 5 in one of those 2 squares at the top. This square can't be a 5 because it's a Knight's Move away from this one. We get the same thing over on that side. 5s. 5s in the middle work the same way. So we can't have 5s in those positions due to normal Sudoku. Those can't be 5s because of this 5. That one can't be a 5. So that's a 5. Now this is very clever. Look at this. Look at how these 5s interact. They lock a 5 into one of those 2 squares, and these 2 lock a 5 into one of those 2 squares. So now we've got a symmetrical disposition of 5s in 2x2 arrays like this. Now, what that's going to allow us to do is to write a 5 into this square. And the reason is that if we look at row 3 of the grid, you can see none of these squares can contain a 5, so the 5 must be in one of those 3. And if we look at column 3, none of those and none of those can be a 5, so we know that the 5 must be in one of those 3, all of which means there's only one square that can be a 5. And having said that the important thing, or the squares I tend to look for, are central squares, look. Jonas has hidden something here using this 3, 4, 6 and 7. These 4 yellow squares here, they all see the middle square because of the Knight's Move constraint. So actually this square I think can only be a 9. Let's just check that. Middle square, it can't be a 1, can't be a 2, can't be a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8. Yes, so that is a 9. Therefore this square is a 9. That's these 9s interacting. This can't be a 9 because of the knight's move constraint. What now? Ah, okay, I see. Let's have a look at column 5. You can see that we need 3, 6, 7 and 8 into these open positions. Now, the 6s are nice. Can't have a 6 in either of those two squares, but this 7 is beautiful. Because the 7 sees this square naturally, and it sees this by knight's move. So in fact, these two squares can't be 6 or 7. So those two are 6 and 7. These two must be 3 and 8. Now, I have another tip now that sometimes arises. When you get pairs of cells orthogonally connected in a knight's move puzzle, you must keep track of, like this square, for example, cannot be a 6 or a 7. And the reason is if we try and put a 6 or a 7 into this square, we break column 5, because the 6 would be ruled out from this square and this square. And the same is obviously true of a 7. And that's interesting. In fact, that's very interesting in many ways. Whoa. Right, let's have a look at some of these ways. So let's look at 6s first. These 6s. Now, 6 can't go in any of these squares just naturally. But can this square here be a 6? And you can see it's the same principle actually as this one. This 6 would break column 5 again because it would remove a 6 from here and here. So I think the 6 must be in one of those two positions. Oh yes, now look. So now there's a 6 in one of these two squares, but this 6 rules out that one. So that's a 6. Or one of those two is a 6. This one can't be a 6 because of the knight's move constraint. Now, what drew my attention to the 6 actually was also I was looking at this 3. 3, 3. So look, where can we put a 3 in this box down here? In particular, can that square ever be a 3? And it can't, for the same reason that we couldn't have put a 6 in that square. This 3 sees those two squares and would break column 5. So 3 can't go here, here, or here. It must go there. That means that one's an 8. That means that one's an 8. What else can we do now? So now, this 8 sees that square, so there's an 8 in one of those two positions. Oh yes, that's beautiful. Now look, ordinarily we wouldn't look twice at this 8 because we'd scan down and go, okay, it rules out those squares, and we'd move on. But here, this 8 is rather beautiful because it rules out those squares, but it also rules out those two. So the 8 is locked into one of those yellow squares there. Now that marries up exactly with where we've locked the 8s into this box. So you can see we've locked 8s in two different boxes into rows 8 and rows 9. So again the question is, where do we put the 8 in row 7? Well, there's only one square it can go into, and that's that one. Which resolves that this is not an 8, this must be an 8. Which means, in turn, that that must be the 8. Now there must be an, hang on, there must be an 8 in one of those two squares. I was just wondering whether I could resolve that by reference to the knight's moves, but I don't think I can. but I can from these 8s, because this 8 sees that one. So the 8 must be in one of those two positions. There's an 8 over there that fixes it, so that's an 8, and that's an 8. And I think we've done the 8s, have we? Oh, this is just a beautiful construction. Look at the 7 now. 7 can't go in those squares, but look, exactly like the 6, the 7 can't go in those two without breaking column 5 again. So the 7 is forced upwards, and this is in fact a 6-7 pair in this box. So these 3 squares must be 1, 2 and 3 to complete the row, and oh, I thought I might be able to get something from that, but I'm not sure that I can. 2, 3. No. Okay, well let's try and find something else. Four. Sorry about this. I'm hopefully momentarily paused. I try and see something good that we can do next. I suppose this 3 is locking a 3 into one of those two positions. This 3 here therefore tells us that one must be the 3. Now this can't be a 3 here. So 3, oh, so the 3 is either here or here. Ah, oh yes, and the 3 in this box can't be here or here. So there's a 3 in one of those two squares. So the 3 up here must be in one of these two positions. And I can't quite see there. Ah, yes, this row now, this 4 becomes powerful, because these two squares can't be 4 because of this one because of the knight's move. So the 4 is over there and forms a 4-5 pair with its friend. So this square must be a 1, 2 or a 3 to complete the box. And these two squares must be 1 and 2 to complete the row. So immediately I'm seeing that square there cannot be a 1 or a 2, and therefore must be a 7 or a 9. What else can we see? So now there's a 4 in one of those two positions. Can't see how to resolve that. Ah, there's something interesting though. Look at this, is just gorgeous. This 4, ordinarily again, I wouldn't look twice at it, but it has an amazing effect on this box. Have a look, see if you can work out what that effect is. So it's not that hard to see that it removes those two possibilities. But look, we have a 4-5 pair here, so there's no way you can actually put a 4 in either of those squares either. Because if you did, you couldn't have a 4 in either of those positions. So in fact, none of those squares can be a 4. Therefore, there's a 4 in one of those positions there. That means there's a 4 in one of those positions. Sixes, look, these 6s interact. This can't be a 6 because of the knight's move, so the 6 must be at the bottom. And therefore this square must be a 6 because there's a 6 here, and this can't be a 6 because of the knight's move, so the 6 must be in that square. 6, 4, 3, 3. Oh, 3's here. Ah, yeah, 3's here are lovely. Because of the 3's I've got pencil marked there. So that's a 3. Oops, that's a 4. Now there must be a 4 in one of those two squares there. Not this one because of the 4 in this square. This 3 sees that 3, so that's not a 3 anymore. That means this is a 3, this is a 5, this is a 5, just unwinding the pencil marks that we've got there. These 3's force a 3 into in exactly one of those two positions, because there's a 3 down in the bottom. And okay, so what now? 6. Ah, now we noted before this square couldn't be a 6 or a 7. Now this is quite important actually, because look, this 6 again, it becomes more powerful than we expect. Rules out a 6 from those squares. That one can't be a 6, so the 6 is in one of those squares, which means there's a 6 in one of these 3 positions, therefore that's not a 6, so that's a 6. Now the 9 means there must be a 9 in one of these two squares. And that's good because the 9 therefore must be in one of those two squares at the bottom. That means there's a 9 in one of these two squares. Ah, now, as there's a 9 in one of those two squares, neither of these squares can be a 9, because otherwise we would break this box by removing both chances for a 9. So the 9 is there, which means the 9 is here in this box because of these 9's interacting. And these 9's now form a 2 by 2 array again. So we know over on this side of the grid, the 9 must be in one of those 3 positions. And because of this 9 here, it must actually be in one of 2 positions. Now, just wondering if there's a knight's move. No, I'm not seeing how to do that. Oh, but here's something. Oh, yes, look at this. Yes, that's right, isn't it? Look at that. I wanted to look at this box and look at where we can put a 7. Now, the thing I noticed was this box I've not put a 7 into yet, but I've got 2 pencil markings, neither of which contain a 7. That's a long way of saying there's a 7 in one of those 2 squares. Now, a 7 in one of these 2 squares means that that square can never have a 7 in it, because it would break this box by removing both opportunities for a 7. But I don't think there can be a 7 here either. And this time, it's because of this box. So if there's a 7 here, look, that forces this square can't be a 7. Because if this is a 7, it's a knight's move away. Those 2 can't be 7, so the 7 would have to be there. But it can't be there because there's already a 7 here. So there is no 7 in those 2 squares. So there is a 7. The 7 must be in one of these 2 positions, and that gives us a 7-9 pair. Which means that in this box, the 7... 7's locked into one of 2 squares, I think. So one thing we can note there is this one can't be a 7 anymore, because that would take both of those away. So the 7's in one of those 3 squares. These 2 squares have got to be 1 and 2 to complete the box. Now, again, I feel I should be able to do something with that. you can see if we look at this column though, we've got 6 digits now, so this must be 4, 7 and 6. That one can't be a 7 because of the 7s there, so the 7s are actually locked into one of those 2 squares, which in turn means that can't be a 7 because it would take both of these 7s away. So this is a 4, 6, 7 triple. That one can't be a 4, and that one can't be a 7. These squares must be 1, 2 and 9 to complete that box. You see that one can't be a 9 because of the pencil marking. This one can't be a 2. And okay, well we're still doing okay. Haven't quite cracked it yet, but there's been some lovely moments in this puzzle already. Now, what could we do next? Answer, I'm not sure. Okay, well look, we've got a 1, 9 here, so where does the 2 go in this box? Oh, it can't be there. So, now I pencil mark 9s in there. Why had I done that? Because of these 9s. Yes, okay, that's fine. So this is a 1 because of the 2 here. Therefore, this is a 9. This is a 2. This must be a 3. This forms a 1, 2 pair, so this is a 3. This must be a 7 or a 9. Three here forces this to be a 3, therefore this is a 6, this is a 7. Let's remove the 3 from that square just so we don't get confused. Now, this 6 removes 6 from both of those squares, so the 6 in this box is in one of those 2 positions. And also we have a 1 and a 2 here. So how do they impact on this column? Neither of these squares can be a 1 or a 2. You can try it if you want, but it will break because we put a 1. We can't have a 1 here, obviously, because of that one. We can't have a 1 here because of by knight's move. And the same exact logic is true of the 2. So in this column, there are only 2 positions the 1 and the 2 can go into. This one and this one. Now, this means this cannot be a 4. So that, that's in, I see. Okay, so that puts the 4 into one of those 2 squares. And look, ordinarily this 2 by 2 array would indicate we've broken the puzzle. We've made a mistake because this would mean there would be 2 solutions to the puzzle. You could put the 4 or the 5 in this square and the puzzle would still solve. But here that's not true because of the knight's constraint. So there must be a knight's move that influences this 2 by 2 array. And that's interesting because I think this is the only square that can. So my belief is that this square must contain a 4 for this puzzle to have a unique solution. But I'm not going to go with that because I think, knowing Jonas, that's not going to be how I intended to solve it. So, but I think we'll find this is a 4, and that because obviously a 4 here disambiguates this. So anyway, let's carry on and see if we can do it a different way. Now, we now need a 4 and a 9, so there must be a 4, 9 pair up here, and 6, 7, 4, 6 into that square. 1, 2 into this square. I feel like there are loads of 1, 2 pairs in this puzzle. 7, 9. 4, 9. Okay, so this square must be a 2 because of this 2 down on that side. So let's put that in, see if that helps us. These two squares now must be 1, 7. This square must be a 6. That resolves the 6 and the 4 over on this side. Six here resolves the 7 and the 6 in the middle. This 7 sees that 7. So that forces this to be a 7, which resolves the 7 and the 9. Now this square must be a 1 or a 2. Must be 1, 2 or 4. That one must be... oh, that one must be 1, 2 or 4 as well. This can't be a 7 because of this 7 here. That one can't be a 7 because of that 7. Oh, that's good. So that's a 7, that's a 9, that's a 9, that's a 4. This should be a 4 now. You can see that fixes a 4 into this square. Oh, good grief. We get another 1, 2 pair. So this again must be resolved by this one. Holy moly. Oh, and down here we've got more 1, 2s. And this 7 is going to resolve this 7, 9. This 7 forces this one to be a 7, this to be the 9, therefore that's a 9, look. 1, 2 pair here, so this must be a 7. Ah, now this is fascinating. That's obviously not a 7, sorry, this is a 1 or a 2. But I can see now, look at this, this 7 is going to allow us to disambiguate these two numbers, and that is going to flow all the way through the puzzle. Ah, and this was a 4, which resolves the 4-5 dichotomy. Lovely. This 7, 7, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1. That fixes this 1, 2, which would otherwise be broken, look. So that's a 2, 1, 1, 2, check. What a puzzle. That's just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I loved that. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Do let me know in the comments. I'm not sure if I found the most efficient way, but I certainly found a way that gave me a great deal of pleasure. So thanks for watching. Back soon with another edition. Cracking the Cryptic.